breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose. Now, when you just keep going on that, when you do the breathing in, pull up your pelvic floor gently. And then release it on the out breath, okay? So it's nothing new here at all, as I don't think, as far as that goes. So you lift up the pelvic floor, and then you release it on the out breath, right? Now then, what we're looking for is to create lines in the body. Just you can watch me and just keep going. So breathing in, lift, and then breathing, and it's very gentle on the lift, as we've had before. Don't try and do a firm pull-up. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a line from the crown of the head through to the perineum. And if we were standing, it would be between the feet, but we're not. The feet are now in front of us. So we need a vertical line down here to here. We also need a horizontal line from 1.5 inches below your tummy button. Just find it, put a finger on there, 1.5 inches below here, yeah. And there's another point on your back here, which is on that, making a horizontal line through your body. Now, where that line intersects with this line going through the body is the absolute core of your Dantian, right in the center of it. So energy-wise, some people find that quite hard to find at first because you don't feel that much there. So just keep breathing in and out, lifting up, but as you breathe in and out, as you breathe in, sorry, not only lift your perineum, but pull the front very gently in. And it's as though you're pulling those 2 points together in the middle, but hardly moving at all. So the pulling inwards is more your intention than actual physical activity. Now, what happens is when you breathe in, when you pull up here, actually what happens is the top of your abdomen is just below your diaphragm, gently goes to meet the rising perineum. It just happens. A sort of a squeezing happens very, very slightly. You may feel it. Don't focus on pulling down on this. Don't just let that one happen. Focus on the lifting up very gently. And the same happens 1.5 inches below your tummy button here, 1.5 inches below to here. Again, the back, you don't physically pull it in. You just observe it. Yeah. So we've now got pulling in the front and the back, and we've now got pulling up and down, and it's like compressing where that crosshairs is in your body. The vertical line intersects with the horizontal. As I say, don't physically pull down from the top or pull in from the back. Just work the front too, because they will talk to each other. In the same way that if you're walking on a tightrope and you want to balance yourself, one hand is not going to help you. Yeah, one hand is going to be, it's because the body's going to feel unbalanced. As soon as you get the two hands out, then you feel much more balanced. It aids the balance quite a lot. So, in other words, one thing, if you do one thing, it will naturally want the other part to respond. It's an automatic reaction in the body. So I'm not sure my tightroping example really helps, but the point is the body wants to balance itself out. It wants to balance itself out. So you become an observer of the back and the top. And you just for a second, on the brief beginning when you start to pull in, it's so tiny, so tiny. That's where you focus initially, and then you observe what happens afterwards. So you may feel nothing at first. You might find automatically, oh yeah, that's just pulling in. I mean, it depends on where you are with all this sort of stuff. But eventually what will happen is it's like compressing a ball. So what are those balls, those stress balls, you know, if you keep compressing it, it undoes, compressing, undoes, it starts to get warm. It's partly because of the heat of your hands, I know, but it's also partly because if you get a metal bar and you start trying a coat hanger, for example, a metal coat hanger, and you want to snap it and you haven't got a pair of pliers or whatever, you you do this with a coat hanger to bend it. And I don't know if you've ever done that and tried to bend a bit of metal like that, but where the bend is taking place gets quite hot. Actually, heat is generated at that point. And that's in effect what we're doing here. We're pulling up and in, and we're observing top and back. And what happens is it's like doing this internally, and you'll start to generate heat, and you'll actually feel heat start to build physically. It'll start to get warm internally. And that's what we're after, and that is developing your center so that when you do the pelvic tilt and you lift up the pubic bone towards your tummy button, you make that gap narrow, you're rotating. It's like your body's rotating around that body, that core, that hot core. So that's what we're aiming to do. When you start getting heat in here, you know that you're actually starting to generate and collect energy in your Dantian. And then suddenly a lot of Tai Chi and Qigong movements start to make sense. You suddenly see where they're going, because when the heat starts to build up internally here, it starts to diffuse through the body. It spreads out through the body into the arms, into the legs, up your spine, into the head. It starts to move outwards because it's almost like the pot is too full here for the heat and it's got to go somewhere else. And that's a great feeling.